Hey, Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this topic because this is one of those topics that we talk with clients about all the time because they are working couples with kids and they have a house to manage. And because neither of us, the clients nor us, are the experts here, it's a lot of questions and few answers. And so to be able to bring in somebody like you that deals with house management as like its general topic, it's going to be insightful for our listeners. I would love for you just to start by maybe sharing a little bit about what do you do and what's the problem that you're solving for?
Yeah, I'm Kelly Hubbell. I'm the founder of Sage Haus. I started Sage Haus based out of my own experience as a very busy, overwhelmed mom of three. I've got a 7, 5, and 3-year-olds. My husband is an entrepreneur. He travels a lot for work. I'll take you back to the problem really, which was my problem at first, which is about 5 years ago. I was, again, in a very demanding corporate career, living far from family and like that sort of built-in support system, which I think is really common for dual income working households today. And what I found, and the problem for me was after we had our second, I felt like the wheels were falling off the bus in my home. I was no longer able to keep up with the demands of everything that needed to happen to keep everyone thriving and myself thriving in my household. So when I really thought about why did I feel so overwhelmed, I realized personally that it wasn't necessarily the childcare piece. My kids were in daycare. They were in a preschool that we loved. And so that allowed us, right, to work our 9 to 5, if you will. It wasn't necessarily just about keeping our house clean. We had cleaners who would come a couple times a month and we had already invested in that, and thank goodness. But I realized it was all of the other things. It was the mental load and all of the invisible labor that went into keeping the household running. That's things like grocery shopping and meal prepping and laundry and running errands, Amazon returns, and basically all of these things that we are cramming into early mornings, late nights, the weekends, or we're multitasking when we're with our family and we want to be present, spending time. And for me, when I totaled all of that up, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm spending upwards of 25 plus hours a week managing my household on top of my full-time job. And I thought to myself, I need more help, but I don't really know if there's somebody out there like this who could help. And so what I set out to do for my own family was solve this problem and find someone who could be a second set of hands in my household. And long story short, as we found her, I didn't know what to call it at the time. So I called it a house manager. And finding this person was literally so life-changing for my own family that I started sharing with women in my network, colleagues, friends. This was my solution to the mental load. This was the solution to fully functioning household, less resentment between me and my partner, more time to spend quality time with my kids and on things that I wanted to do that brought me joy. And then that's basically snowballed into what Sage Haus is today. So I left my corporate career about 2 years ago to dedicate myself to helping other families find this kind of support because like you said, there's a lot of questions and there's not a lot of answers out there. And it's a new category in itself of finding this versatile, holistic support for families. So that's kind of, I guess, my summary of the problem my family solved. And now that's a very similar, of course, lots of nuances of different clients and families we work with are all a little bit different, but generally the same theme of how do we find this kind of support that my family needs to thrive?
Exactly. And I would imagine, a lot of people probably think, well, this is just my problem. Everybody doesn't have this problem. Like this is on me. So clearly there's not a business that could help people like me.
Right. And part of it is that people don't think that this exists, this kind of support exists. And honestly, I don't blame them because up until now, our culture and our society, like the US is very, very different, by the way, than many other countries in the way that they set up support systems. And we've been told up until now, if you need more help, you just need more childcare, or you need to hire a nanny. And those of us who know who've hired a nanny or an au pair, they can only help us with so much. Their responsibility really ends at taking care of kids. So yes, they'll prep food for just the kids. Yes, they'll fold the laundry for just the kids. But really, it's the whole family that needs that kind of support. And so I think I don't blame people when they're mystified by this concept of how do I find this? I refer to it as like almost like a unicorn modern Mary Poppins in your home, somebody who can just take it on. If today your kid is homesick from school and like you need a backup, that's what this person can help with. If the pipe is leaking in your bathroom, they can start making phone calls, right? Because every day is something new for a family. And we need that second set of really reliable, consistent support to help us. So I hear it all the time. And again, like this is a new category. And that's why we've seen families, frankly, like running to us at Sage Haus to find it, because many times it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming in itself to find somebody that you can trust in your home. And on top of that, if you're already working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you don't have the hours and capacity to find this amazing person. So that's why we exist.
It's such a great and unique fit for a lot of people. And this kind of reminds me of when we talk about budgeting. So we deal with wealth management, we deal with financial planning for these busy professionals. And when we talk about budgeting or cash flow management, one of the conversations that comes up all the time is like, well, this is just this one expense that came up and it won't happen again. Yet that one expense combined with the other one-time expenses that continue to show up equal a lot of money, right? And so if we don't account for these random sporadic things that happen times 10 things, we're actually missing a lot of where our money goes. And so the way that when you were just explaining it, I was thinking the same thing about our household chores and tasks that we have to do where, the childcare is one thing that is very consistent. It's ongoing. The cleaning of the house, very obvious, very consistent, ongoing. So we have solutions for those things. But the Amazon package that has to be grabbed at the door, or the one that has to be returned, or the one time that I have to go to the post office and deliver this piece of mail to the post office, or go to the grocery store, or just, then you start to add all of these things together. And like you said it's like 25 hours a week that you're dealing with this stuff. So it becomes a big load together, but maybe not individually.
I absolutely agree with you. We see clients all the time who are interested in finding a house manager who will say, well, it feels like I just need a house manager to help me set up the system. It's almost like they think of this as this one time. If I can just get my house organized one time, then why don't it just stay that way? But actually setting up those systems is super important and getting those systems in place, but maintaining those systems is just as time consuming. Set up the systems, maintain the systems. And to your point, every week looks really different for busy families. I know my weeks look really, really different, even though, yes, there are consistencies. Yes, Wednesdays are always piano lessons. Friday mornings are always like so-and-so needs to drop off or pick up or whatever. But things come up. Different weeks bring different things, especially if there are two career working partners that are traveling for work. Like for me, I'm traveling this week. My husband traveled last week. I need a second set of hands to help me. Every week looks a little bit different. And then the other thing that you mentioned, it kind of made me think of this when you were talking about how different sort of expenses pop up and you think, oh, this is just a one-time thing. We actually work with so many clients who realize that they're spending money here and there on, I'll just call it like outsourcing. So like they're spending money on grocery delivery. They're spending money on DoorDash. They're spending money to outsource the laundry. They're spending money on a dog walker. Like we're sort of duct taping this together already because we're thinking, oh, we can save time here. I can save time. And like we're doing it already. But what if you could consolidate that and have one trusted, reliable source to do all of those things for your family? And like, what kind of mental load would that actually relieve from you on top of course, the time you save on all of those things? Because now you're not managing 5 different people or platforms to do that for you. So that's another piece that I hear often is like, oh, we're kind of doing this, but wouldn't it be nice instead of just having our groceries dropped off at the doorstep and then still having to unload them and in the middle of a workday, have someone who just handles all of that. And now my pantry is organized. And now I'm not ever thinking about all the things I need stocked in my fridge always.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking of just like even someone saying, well, if I have a personal assistant, I don't know what to give them. I don't think I have enough things to fill their plate for the week. But you make that move and you hire the person and those things just show up left and right. And before you know it, you have more than enough things to give the house manager in this case, because you just didn't pay attention to all of the pebbles that show up in the week. You had mentioned a home system. Can you explain what a home system is from your perspective?
Yes, the systems piece is just as important as the support piece. And I love systems. I'm an operations person at heart. And the way I describe systems is very similar to how you set up standard operating procedures in your work, how you standardize. These are the ways that we do things. And these are the things that the expectations for how we want things done. We can apply those same fundamental concepts that we use in business to our home. What we've done actually here at Sage Haus is consolidated essentially best practices for onboarding a house manager into your home, into what we call our home systems playbook. So we have specifically created essentially an operating manual for your home that is templated and it gets our clients 90% of the way there. They go in and fill in the blanks for exactly how their household runs so that they feel really confident in onboarding a house manager into their home. And now my house manager knows what the laundry schedule for the week looks like. So, we know exactly what day all the hand towels need to get washed in the bathroom. And I'm never, ever thinking again, when was the last time the hand towel got washed in the guest bathroom? Who knows things like, what day does the garbage and recycle bin need to go out to the street? I'm now never thinking about that ever again. Like, what is the recipe box for our family that everyone likes these meals so that I can say to my house manager, here are the 2 things we want this week. And that's all I have to say, because she can go into the recipe box in our home systems playbook and see exactly what we need, the ingredients that we need, the recipe is there, and he or she can prep that. These are the systems that we talk about. And we believe so strongly in this. And I see this as a huge difference, between Sage Haus, for example, and, so many clients we've talked to before have worked with nanny agencies and agencies who are like, here you go. I found you somebody and I'm just going to drop them on your doorstep. Have good luck. To us, we're like, your systems are just as important as the support. I could find Mary Poppins for your household, but unless she knows exactly how your household runs, then she's not going to be good at this. And so the systems are so, so important to set up. And we really have helped build that infrastructure for our clients. And also, by the way, there are so many people out there who might already have a house manager, have a nanny, have an au pair, and they want to set up better systems. We provide our home systems as a separate product. So those people who come to us too can just get the systems from us. That can be really helpful, but it's really powerful. The systems are crucial and critical.
I think the idea of defining your systems before you then bring on someone to do the things you need done is so important, because you said that your systems are your systems, right? The way that your household runs is unique to you, probably. And Mary Poppins can't come in and know your preferences. And so Mary Poppins could be really great, and she comes in or he comes in and they're doing things and they're frustrating you. Even though they're getting things done, they're frustrating you because, I don't know, the flour is not in the right place in the cabinet after they went to the store to get it. And now you're trying to make dinner at night, if they're not doing it for you, and you don't know where to go, right? So being able to have those systems defined, work together with your house manager to get on the same page so that you know what they're doing, they know it's your preference or how they're doing it. I think just the vibes themselves and the emotional ability to handle life is going to be a lot easier when the communication hasn't broken down and everything is defined, and you can point back to something that tells us what we need to do. It's an instruction manual per se.
Totally. And everyone wants to get it right. Your house manager also wants to get it right. What I've found in this business is the candidates that we work with want to work with wonderful families who want them to be successful. It's just like hiring an employee in your own business or somebody who works with you in your corporate role. Defining the expectations and how someone is successful in the role is so important. And we have to apply those same principles to somebody in our home. I would argue that it's actually more important, because having this foundation at home and being able to truly let go of all of these things that you're holding in your mind opens up tabs in your brain so that you can be more focused at work, so that you can get more done, so that you can really get your nights and weekends back to spend time doing things that you enjoy. So I'll just say everyone wants to get it right. And so being able to provide that structure to get it right is mutually beneficial.
We had written an article a little bit ago about something like this because we delved into it. We hired somebody to be a house manager for us. probably a year ago at this point, and we realized it was working. So we wrote an article about that very topic. And then we posted it on LinkedIn, and there was backlash from people saying, one, oh, it must be nice to have the money to be able to afford this. Like we somehow are like above everybody else and super wealthy, which, by the way, I did not grow up in a wealthy household. This was not something that I thought about. So maybe I would have been that same person saying like, who are you to tell me that I can do this when you have all the money and I don't, right? So when people think about like, who is this for? How do they say, yes, this is for me, I should buy into this as a support solution for me versus no, it doesn't fit because of X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought this up because to me, this is like the elephant in the room in this topic in general. By the way, completely on the same page with you, as in I didn't have this kind of support growing up. I was raised by a single mom who had 4 kids and she worked and she did it all. And a really big part of my why and our mission at Sage Haus is to stop the do-it-all of this. I could see the toll that it took on my mom, her physical health, her mental health, and getting to the, is this just for rich people? I was actually, and I'll share with you vulnerably, like I was really worried in launching Sage Haus as a business because of that same backlash you experienced on LinkedIn. I was really worried about that because the last thing that I wanted was for people to just say to me, oh, this rich white lady is just telling me the solution is to just hire somebody. The solution is to throw money at this problem. And I think that negates so many things. The first of which is that what we are normalizing, and having this conversation today, what we are normalizing, and my mission really when I set out to launch Sage Haus was to normalize this. This is not just for the rich and famous. Like this is not just for the billionaires and the Kardashians of the world to have more support in their home. This is for dual income working households and people who are valuing their time. And I think this conversation around what is the value of your time and how do you want to be spending your time and what is like the return on investment here is the conversation that we need to be having. I understand, and you know this is what you do. I mean, your audience is here because they're thinking about like, what are ways that I can optimize my own financial situation? Finances are really personal. They're really, really personal. When somebody says to me and writes off this idea, this concept of getting more support in your home and says, oh, I can't afford that. I actually say to them, I want to talk about that more because I personally can't afford not to have this kind of support. I cannot afford not to have it, and it is worth its weight in gold for my family. And I will tell you, for my family, we had hired a house manager. We started really small at 8 to 12 hours a week. And this was when we were renting a house. My husband was starting a company and he wasn't making any money yet. I was working in a corporate job and I was the breadwinner for our family. But we made really intentional financial decisions that our dollars spent on more support was more important to us than a new car, nice new jeans, having a designer handbag. And that was a personal decision we made. My family we still drive our 2016 Subaru Forester because for us, we'd rather put the money instead of a nice fancy lease on a car toward our house manager because we know how much it impacts our relationships with our kids and other people and our time, how it positively impacts our physical health, our mental health, our ability to be present with each other, like my nervous system, all of those things. So I think it's like, you've got to take into account all of these things. And again, yes, it's a financial commitment. Yes, it's really, really personal, but also you can start really small. And this is for you. If you have $300 to $500 a week in your budget that you can put toward all of the grocery shopping, all the meal prepping, all the laundry, like I would argue you can't afford not to have this.
Yeah, you're right. And it's just managing resources, right? And everybody has their own priorities as to what resources are valuable and not, and what they have to do and they don't have to do, and what their time would be better used doing. And so it is very much a personal decision, right? But I agree with you that you have to sort through all the things that you do, all the things that you want to do, and get a blend of things that you do that you want to do and do that you have to do. Anything else that doesn't fit there might be done by somebody else so that you can have the peace of mind. You can spend the time with the people that you value most, especially like our clients say all the time, my kids are going to be in college before I know it. If I don't take the time to spend with them now, when am I going to do it? right? And so freeing up the time to have the capacity to hang out with your family is not a rich thing. Yes, money helps, but I strongly believe that is very much every family should have that opportunity. And like you said, you don't have to go big. You can start small. Do a part-time, 8 to 10 hours a week versus a full-time position.
Yes. And it's intentional.
I don't want that to be lost in the whole conversation about like, who is this for, right? It's for people who really want to find the time to do what they want to do most. Maybe it is career. Maybe it's more back to your career and you can grow your income. Maybe it's more family. Maybe it's both. It doesn't really matter, I think, but it does matter that you take a look at this kind of thing. And so what advice would you have for people thinking about hiring a house manager? Like, how do they prepare? What do they think about? Anything there that you could help with?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the biggest first step in thinking about hiring a house manager is getting really, really clear about what you and your family are looking for. So for our clients, and this is what we do, we sit down with them one-on-one on a kickoff call to go through what are your current needs and routines and pain points, and what are all the roles and responsibilities that you want someone to take off of your plate? And also, like, what are some of the characteristic traits that you might want in someone who's in your home? It's a really intimate role, right? Like, do you want someone who's more behind the scenes? Do you want someone who's like cooking in the kitchen, helping pick up and drop off the kids? Like, what are the vibes that your family really needs? And so really the biggest part is defining that. That's what we help families with all the time, because many of them are just now realizing like, wow, this is a solution. I didn't know this existed. And now how do I define this? Like, what do I do? So really the first step is in defining it. And then most of the work comes in searching for this person. So, it's posting the job, vetting candidates, screening applicants, doing all of that. But I would say starting with what do you need and really like defining that scope is the most important. And here's another topic that we haven't even scratched the surface on here, but I think some people listening to this might think, oh, this might just be a support for a mom or just a dad. And I'm here to say that even when you have two highly executive functioning partners in the relationship, like, it's not because we're not trying hard enough. It's not because we're both not taking the load or sharing in the load. There just aren't enough hours in the day. So like, I'm the first person and proponent of the fair play method, Eroding, sharing in the mental load with your partner. But to me, we need solutions that account for the fact that like, there just still are not enough hours in the day. Another thing that we often see is families who are transitioning from like a nanny or an au pair. So like, yes, your kids have been really tiny and small and they need like the hands-on childcare. But as your kids sort of transition out of that phase, you look around and realize, oh my gosh, there's actually so much here that we could get more support with. So maybe it's time that we kind of transition out of this full-time nanny role into somebody who can, yes, still help us provide drop-offs, pickups, some amount of childcare, but also take over all this other stuff for our family.
Sure. So there's tends to be like maybe a hole in the structure when something like a nanny moves on. Mm-hmm. Then there's the next array of things where you almost like consolidate all of the tasks now on the table and see what you need. And that's a perfect time for the house manager to step in and start to help you build that new model for the next several years of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know that one of the things that my wife was even saying, she was like, well, if I had this house manager in my house and I want to just do something like go do yoga, and I would normally do yoga in a room by myself, but now I'm in a room and the house manager's in the kitchen and there's like, I don't know, it's a weirdness for her to say like, well, this person's at my house and very professional, but still I'm trying to relax and do things. And it just I don't connect with that setup. Like, has that come up for you before? Or like, how do people consider that kind of awkwardness of somebody in their house that is not normally there when they're trying to not do work or not like just chill out a little bit?
Yeah, I have heard that. I think part of it is, it's a couple things. One is a comfort level. And I think part of the comfort just comes from the practice of having someone in your home. And I've heard from a lot of like couples that we work with where typically like the dad is like, well, I don't know how I feel about somebody else like kind of in their home. But then after 2 weeks, they've completely changed their tune because they're like, oh, now I can't live without this person. Like now the fact that my lunch is prepped and the laundry is done and like now like we can't live without our house manager. So I think part of it is just like this comfort level of getting used to it, getting used to like someone else sort of being in your space. And then I think strategically setting them up on a schedule. Like we've worked with many high profile, A-list celebrity, ultra high net worth families, in addition to the rest of us, of course. And they're very private people. And if you're a very, very private person, a lot of it is setting up a schedule for a house manager to come during times when you're okay with them being around. So almost like working their schedule around the times that you want to be just in your home alone. I mean, I'm the first person to say like, it's a delight to be in my home alone, which doesn't happen very often. And just like working around that and also just having really clear expectations. I think it's also good to be really direct with someone in your home to just say, hey, we've never had someone in our home before. This is going to be a huge transition for us. We're going to feel really uncomfortable at first. You might not because you've done this before, but just so you know where we're at, if we're not talking and making conversation, and it's just because like we respect you and your time, and like we also have personal boundaries, and like this is a professional relationship. It's not because like we're trying to ignore you, or like I think again coming full circle to what you mentioned about like having that upfront communication and expectation is also really important. And it's okay to say, hey, this is weird for me, but also I know that I really appreciate this, and I know that this is the right thing for our family, and like we're all here to get used to it.
And just being honest, I mean, authentic and just straightforward. I think that goes a long way. So as we kind of wrap up this conversation here, there's two things. One, I mean, is there anything that you think that people should take home from what we either have said here, highlighting something that was really important in the discussion so far, or something else that maybe we haven't talked about that is a really key point when people are considering or trying to work with a house manager?
I would double click on really thinking about during this season of life that you're in, are you living the life that you wanted to? Like when you set out to have a family and raise kids and have a house and a dog and cars and all of that very full life, are you feeling overwhelmed by that? Like, are there things that you can get off of your plate? I think most people just are very new to this concept of it needs to get done, but it doesn't need to be done by me, especially if you have working moms or like super type A moms who are listening in right now. This concept of you can do it all and you can have it all is actually completely bogus. And I'm the first person to sit here and say, like, you actually can't. Like, you can't do it all and you can't have it all without serious ramifications to your health, your relationships. And so I guess, one of the things that I'm here to do and say is support is within reach. And it's more affordable, attainable, and approachable than you probably think. Before you knock it, before you think, oh, that's not for me, try it. See how it goes for you. I think really it's thinking about the ROI on your time. One of the books that I love and respect is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He's sort of taken in that book, he's consolidated from a lot of learnings that he's learned from business advisors and people, and really thinking about like, how do we place a value on our own time, which is really the most finite resource we have. And I think just really thinking about that, like, what is the value of my time? If I had an extra 10 to 15 hours this week, how would I spend it? Would I be able to like go after that promotion that I've been putting, to the side? Would I be able to finally go and like take a yoga or tennis class or catch up with my friends that I haven't seen in months? Like, how would you spend your time, and what is important for you to live like a really full and balanced life? And by the way, this is an economy. This is really cool. I think about this a lot because I can't tell you how many moms have come to me and said, I thought that I had to choose between my career that I loved and I worked so hard to get and my household because I couldn't do both. Like, I really thought, oh my gosh, I have to make a choice. And then they come to us and they're like, oh my, I can't believe this. Now that I have my household running, I can keep my career and like be the mom that I want to be. And so not only are we helping busy parents stay in the career they love, we're also providing jobs for incredible humans who want to work with families. And that is like a really, really cool economy. And that's really fulfilling for me. And it's just fulfilling to the families that we help to find this kind of support.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really great insight. I think it's great advice. And so in the realm of like access, right? I know you've mentioned that you work with families across the country and into Canada as well. So if people want to reach out to you specifically, where do they go?
Yep. I am on Instagram mostly at my Sage Haus, called HAUS. I'm on LinkedIn, Kelly Hubbell, and you can reach out to us directly there. You can drop me a DM, you can email me. And like you said, yeah, we work with families all over the US and Canada, and we would love to work with you to either find a house manager or set up better systems in your home, or both.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And we'll definitely include that information in the show notes on beyondyourhammock.com. So you'll be able to get access to Kelly if you want to do that. So again, thank you very much, Kelly, for sharing your wisdom, talking about your business, making it very clear that you don't have to be a certain type of person to want, certainly, some help, and you deserve it. And you can probably get it if you think about it and pinpoint what it is that you actually need for you. So thank you very much for being on Money for Life. And hopefully we'll connect again soon.
Sounds awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Money for Life, hosted by Eric Roberge, CFP and founder of Beyond Your Hammock, and me, Kaylee Roberge. Our show is produced and edited by Steve Stewart. If you want to learn more about wealth management and hiring your own personal financial advisor, visit beyondyourhammock.com. And now for the legal stuff. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice, and may not cover all critical, complete details of every situation discussed. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host or the podcast. Please consult a qualified professional about your specific situation before making any financial decisions based on this podcast or any other educational content designed for a general audience.